Today, we're exploring a topic that may just catch you off guard: wars the United States didn't win. That's right, even the mighty USA has faced some setbacks on the battlefield. So, let's jump in and understand about these lesser-known chapters in American military history. The Vietnam War, 1955 to 1975. Starting our list is perhaps the most famous war that the U.S. didn't win. The Vietnam War was a long, costly armed conflict that pitted the communist regime of North Vietnam and its southern allies, known as the Viet Cong, against South Vietnam and its principal ally, the United States. Despite its superior military technology and firepower, the U.S. struggled against the guerrilla tactics of the Viet Cong. The dense jungle terrain and the enemy's ability to blend in with local populations posed significant challenges. As the war dragged on, it became increasingly unpopular at home, with widespread protests and civil unrest. In 1973, the U.S. withdrew its troops, and in 1975, North Vietnam captured Saigon, effectively winning the war. This defeat had a profound impact on American foreign policy and military strategy for decades to come. The war in Afghanistan, 2001 to 2021. Next up is America's longest war. Following the September 11 attacks, the U.S. invaded Afghanistan to dismantle al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban from power. Initially, the U.S.-led coalition quickly overthrew the Taliban government. However, the Taliban regrouped and launched an insurgency. Despite 2 decades of fighting, billions of dollars spent, and thousands of lives lost, the U.S. struggled to establish a stable Afghan government capable of resisting the Taliban on its own. In 2021, the U.S. withdrew its troops, and the Taliban swiftly retook control of the country, including Kabul. This outcome was widely seen as a failure of U.S. military and foreign policy objectives in the region. The War of 1812 to 1815. Now, this one's a bit controversial. Some might argue it wasn't a clear loss, but it certainly wasn't a win either. The War of 1812 was fought between the United States and the British Empire, including its North American colonies and Native American allies. However, none of these objectives were fully achieved. The British successfully defended Canada, and key issues like trade restrictions were left unresolved. While the U.S. did achieve some victories, including the famous Battle of New Orleans, the war ended in what many historians consider a stalemate. The Treaty of Ghent essentially returned both sides to the pre-war status quo. Russian Civil War Intervention, 1918 to 1920. After World War I, the U.S. and other Allied powers intervened in the Russian Civil War, supporting the White Army against the Bolsheviks. However, this intervention failed to prevent the Bolshevik victory and the establishment of the Soviet Union. The U.S. troops faced harsh conditions, unclear objectives, and a lack of public support back home. This unsuccessful intervention strained U.S.-Soviet relations for years to come. Lebanon Crisis, 1982 to 1984. In 1982, the U.S. intervened in the Lebanese Civil War, aiming to restore peace and support the Lebanese government. However, the situation quickly deteriorated. In 1983, a terrorist attack on U.S. Marine barracks in Beirut killed 241 American service members. Facing mounting casualties and no clear path to victory, the U.S. withdrew its forces in 1984. This intervention is often seen as a failure of U.S. peacekeeping efforts in the region. Somalia Intervention, 1992 to 1995. U.S.-led United Nations operation in Somalia aimed to provide humanitarian relief and restore order to the war-torn country. However, the mission faced significant challenges, culminating in the Battle of Mogadishu in 1993, where 18 U.S. soldiers were killed. The shocking images of U.S. soldiers' bodies being dragged through the streets of Mogadishu turned public opinion against the intervention. The U.S. withdrew its forces in 1995, leaving Somalia still unstable and war-torn. War on Drugs, 1971-present. While not a conventional war, the war on drugs declared by President Nixon in 1971 can be seen as a long-term policy failure. Despite billions spent on enforcement and incarceration, drug use and drug-related crime remain significant issues in the U.S. So these examples show us the complexity of international conflicts and the limitations of military solutions to political problems. They've shaped U.S. foreign policy, military strategy, and America's role on the world stage. That wraps up our list of major wars the United States didn't win. What do you think about these conflicts? Are there any others you would have included? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe to World at War, and hit that notification bell for more fascinating war history. This is World at War, signing off until next time.